Hello everybody. For my capstone project, I am designing the exterior of a house using a program called SketchUp, which I found through drafting class. My plan was to make a house from scratch. How do you do that? Well, when planning, I first looked into the different kinds of houses that existed. I found that there were many different kinds of houses, which each having their own unique architectural features. I was looking through all the different kinds when I stumbled upon the modern house. I decided that I was going to make a modern house, and so I did research on modern houses and tried to figure out what qualities made a modern house. Some things that I found were that most modern houses had a very simplistic and clean design on the outside, with many geometrical shapes like rectangles and squares, with no arches or ornate columns. This kind of house eliminates all the unnecessary details in order to achieve a very minimalist aesthetic. Now that I know all of this information, I can begin planning for my house. When I first started planning, I looked up on the internet for inspiration. I created a plan which had been split up into three parts. The first was getting the basic shape of the house. Then I added the characteristics of a modern house outside to make it look better. And lastly, I added any other decorations on the outside. And now it was time to start on building the house. When building, I started with the basic shape of the house. I decided to make an S shape for the first floor of my house and an L shaped one for the second floor to allow room for a balcony. Before I started designing my house, I needed to figure out what everything did because I had not used this program in a while. Now that I've finished the first floor, I'm going to start making the second one. After getting the basic shape of the house done, I need to add a little more detail around the outside, as a modern house not only consists of two L-shaped blocks. So I made a roof and extruded some part of the walls to give it that modern look. I wasn't pleased at first with the look, so I also added an extra slanted roof on the side to get a little more elevation, as well as extruding one of the walls in the back, just because I thought it looked good. The next thing I had to do was create little decorations on the outside of the house to enhance the look, to make the house look from this to this. I also noticed that most of these houses had many windows on the outside, making it almost look transparent. So I went and put a whole bunch of windows around the house. Another thing that I noticed was that most windows on modern houses were pretty big. Like almost all of them kind of covered the entire wall. So that's kind of what I was going for when making these windows. I added any other little details which I found looked good, and that was pretty much it for the entire house. Or so I thought. When I first built this house, I had forgotten to scale my house down to a normal size, so my house ended up being 400 meters tall. You see, that was a problem because in SketchUp, the textures look very different if you have a block that's 400 meters tall versus one that is 4 meters tall. The textures do not scale with the size of the block, which is the reason why all my textures had looked so weird at first. And so I scaled it down, and it made things significantly easier. So then, I continued building. I thought I had pretty much finished, but I just could not find the texture to paint the walls. I kept trying different things, but a lot of them simply just did not look good. But in the end, I was able to find one that fit best, and I was able to finish my house, and I think it turned out pretty well. With that being said, that's enough of me building. Here is the finished house. This project allowed me to be creative and create something on my own. If I were to do this project again, I would try to plan out a little better, as some parts of it was just kind of me figuring out what to do on the spot. I was able to learn and realize the struggles and the work that goes into designing every single house that you see on the streets. This experience has further deepened my understanding of architecture and strengthened my passion for it. Who knows? Maybe one day there'll be a house in the world that was designed by me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.